yeah. Wow. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start working on all this stuff. Just waiting for someone to say good morning. Just waiting for someone to say hello. Just waiting for someone to pop up in chat and say, "What's up, sucker? What's up, sucker? What's up, sucker?" Ha ha! Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Mitch. Good morning, Martin. Ah, yes. Okay. Anytime you see me turn around and wash my hands, that's a good thing. Hello, Christina. Okay, everybody. My name is Oldskulenerd. Sorry about the delay. We had ridiculous amounts of... What's up, sucker? Hello, Caroline. So... My daughter just popped in and said, "What's up, sucker?" So, no. Anytime you see me turn around and wash my hands, that's because I'm supposed to. No, actually, Job, you're not late. I'm late. Ran into a lot of different problems with work. Could not start on time. I tried. Just want to make sure, can everybody hear me good? Did I just say good? Because that sounds really stupid for me to say, can everyone hear me good? Dough, no. We're not using dough. Actually, we're trying to... We're not, no. Lisbon, Portugal, nice. Okay, so here's the thing. We're not making dough because we're not baking anything, but we are going to make some gumbo. Now, the first question somebody asks is gumbo like jambalaya? No, it is completely different other than the fact they put them both over rice. The best way that I could use to describe gumbo would be like a stew, okay? A local stew. If, okay, for instance, Pedro's from Lisbon, Portugal. So I know that they have amazing stews in Spain and Portugal, okay? And everyone does. Whether you're from Asia, Africa, South America, Australia, and especially Europe. Europe has literally developed an entire culture based upon stews. It's just, you take the local ingredients, a local cooking style, develop it into a stock that is usually mostly liquid. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is what we're doing. We're going to make a gumbo. Now, the best way to describe what a gumbo is, it is a similar to, some people make chicken and dumplings, or you make a gravy with flour. Some of you know Norway checking in. It's, of course, Norway's checking in. Usually followed right behind by Sweden and Finland and Estonia. So here's the thing: is if anyone has ever made a soup or a stew where they have the liquid and then they know. Sorry, Bob. So when they make a stew and they make their stock, right, and then they add flour to thicken it at the end, or they make a gravy, right? And you take drippings from cooked meats and you make like a fluid and you add flour or cornstarch to thicken it. It's like that, except we're going to do that in the exact reverse. We're going to thicken it and then we're going to make the stew out of it. All right. This is the first thing you need to understand. When you're dealing with Cajun cooking, you have to understand that we're going to break a lot of cooking rules. I am not a chef, okay? But there's been a lot of chefs who have gone and talked to Cajun people, like historically Cajun people, on how to cook this stuff because it's kind of strict about how to do it because we use a lot of high heat and we can burn things very easily. Now, here we go. To cook a proper gumbo, Cajun style, you're going to need a really good pot. Now, this is the kind of pot that a lot of people think that they need, but it's not, okay? This is a standard little stock pot. You can get them at any store, any grocery store around the world. Pretty well known. It's a basic metal pot, but here's the thing. If I hit it, you hear the ring? It's because it's extremely thin, okay? So it doesn't distribute heat well, and what happens is, because the pot is so thin, the direct heat through the bottom will make anything stick and burn. So we don't use this to make gumbo. A lot of people will use black iron. So for most people around the world, if you have a black iron pot or a heavy stew pot with a heavy bottom, this will work for you. This is the one I use. This boy weighs about 7 to 8 pounds. I don't know what that converts into kilos or kilograms, but it's heavy. Now, the best way you can understand that is if you look at it, it's fairly thick on the side, but you see this little lip on the bottom? That's solid metal. So whenever I tap the bottom, there's no ring to it. It's solid. This is the pot we're going to use. Now, let's talk about our meats. A lot of people there are really just two types of gumbo that most people do, okay? There is what's called a land gumbo and a water gumbo. Seafood and livestock, okay? Some people mix them, but the one we're going to do today is the one that pretty much anywhere around the world can do with little or no problem. And that is the classic chicken and sausage gumbo, okay? Because anyone can get chicken pretty much around the world. And if you can't, message me privately and we'll work on that, okay? But I prefer to use, I said meat. Shut up, Mike. Okay, everyone in the chat, the person that's named Mike Alvarado, he's also technically a transplant Cajun. So he's going to say some crap and make fun of me. Do not ignore him. Just ignore him. I do, okay? He's actually a really close friend of mine. I've known him for years. Okay, so people will use different chicken bits, right? For gumbo, I prefer to use chicken thighs and chicken legs. And there's a reason why. Everyone that does a lot of cooking, when you cook with chicken, you realize that the white meat has a tendency to get very hard and doesn't stay very moist and is not as flavorful. Not saying you can't do that. Hell, if you want to, you can use turkey. That's on you if you do, though, okay? For me, I'm doing a combination of chicken legs and chicken thighs. I do love you, Mike. Chicken thighs. Now, just for prepping, while we're talking, I'm going to start taking all of the skin and secondary fat off these chicken thighs because I'm trying to keep the amount of oil and grease in the final product as minimal as possible, if that makes sense. The dark meat is better. A lot of people will tell you if you go on Netflix and you watch the Chef Show with Jon Favreau, they go to a lot of different restaurants. In almost every restaurant where they're cooking an ethnic food, whether it be an Asian cuisine, like a Thai, or you see them doing like a stir fry, you always see them like, oh, we use chicken thighs. And he's like, why? And they're like, because they stay more moist and they have a better flavor. There's another reason why. When you're dealing with a stew, especially a humble stew or a family stew that you need a large amount, dark meat's cheaper. Cheaper, tastes better. Go for it. Okay, the other thing we're going to use is we're going to use a Cajun smoked sausage. Now, I know that most of you are not from where I'm from. So other than Mike and me, most of you can't get Cajun sausage whenever you want. But what you can get pretty much around the world now is andouille sausage, right? Okay, andouille sausage has become very well known around the world as the Cajun sausage. That can work no problem for you. What I like to do is we actually buy ours in a bulk box of 4 pounds at a time. And you can have this stuff shipped. This one is made by a company called Savoie. Savoie. Okay? There's also a couple other ones. Zatarans, Richards, whatever. But most of these companies can ship these in blocks, frozen blocks, andouille sausage. No, it's... Oh my God, you're going to make me look that up on how to spell it? You're killing me, Job. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. Right there. It's Andouille. Andouille. Okay. There you go. Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate you, buddy. So yeah, and andouille sausage actually comes from France. So originally, so getting it, it's just a smoked pork sausage. Now you can get that all over. Yeah, you can get it from Europe because it originally comes from France. You got it. Now, ours here has a tendency to be, we call it Cajun because we add a little bit more spice to it. But you don't have to worry about having to add the spice to that sausage. What I would like to try to at least push everyone away from is this. Whether you're Italian or German or any culture that has their own sausage, do not put a wurst in this. Do not put an Italian sausage in this. Do not put a country sausage with sage in this. It will throw the flavor completely off because we're trying to stick to certain flavor profiles, and sage and certain Italian herbs or certain Germanic herbs in sausages have a tendency to change the flavor completely when they're smoked. So I would really stick to a French andouille sausage. Pork preferably. There are some pork beef mixes, some pork chicken mixes, that's fine. If you can stick to a good pork sausage, you're in good shape. Got it right. Well, yeah, I tried. Yeah, I can say those names fine, but if you start asking me to start naming people's first and last names in Nordic countries and Dutch countries, I'm screwed. Okay. Okay. Chorizo. Chorizo can work good well. I've actually seen someone make one with chorizo and it was really, really good. However, there are chorizo flavors that are more Latin and you want to try to back off of those as much as possible. But yes, you can use a chorizo. Okay, now, that's just the meat. Oh, also, here, we have butcher shops and grocery stores all over where I live. And they'll have a fresh packed sausage that's not smoked. And I'm going to put some fresh sausage in here as well. This is from a local person. This is a fresh pork sausage with green onion in it. So it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, you just, like I said, the biggest catch behind sausage. Yeah. Okay, a kielbasa sausage, a chorizo, those are usually pretty good as well because they're fairly mild in flavor. If you go to like a breakfast sausage or an Italian sausage where the flavor is very strong, if it is more towards that culture or that flavor of that particular herb, it's going to throw it off. But a good kielbasa is such a mild sausage that it's not going to affect the flavor. Okay, that's our meat. And the meat is important, don't get me wrong. But the most important part of a gumbo is the roux. Now, the most important part of most Cajun cooking is the base of the roux. Now the roux is ROUX. That is a flour-based browned substance. It's like a paste that is browned to a certain color and flavor to then flavor the entire dish. There are roux that are used in all forms of Cajun in Cajun cooking, but it originates, of course, in French cooking. Okay, I'm gonna let you know on a secret. Okay, Mike, do not go into that stuff. Do not confuse the masses who don't live where I live. Yes, I will explain tasso in just a few moments. Okay. Dude's killing me. Okay. All-purpose flour. All-purpose flour. Vegetable oil. Some people will use peanut oil or corn oil or olive oil. I would stay away from those. You want vegetable oil because it doesn't add a lot of flavor to it. Roux, no, it's not kangaroo. It's ROUX, which is from French cuisine. Okay, so the way you would do it is you would take the flour, you would put it, and you would use your big pot. So I'm going to give you guys an example of what it would look like in this pan. Okay? Because if I start making a giant roux, I'm going to be here for an hour. Okay? When you're making a roux, you're going to... Hey, Mike? You mean like this? Anyway, yeah. Now, people will add the flour. They'll put it in the pan. They'll add the oil, and they'll make it like a paste, a smooth paste. And then when it's on the heat, you'd literally have to stir it constantly for 20 to 30 minutes. And the reason why you'd have to do that is because if the roux sticks to the bottom, it will burn. If the roux burns, you got to start over because whatever flavor the roux is going to encompass the whole gumbo. This is a gumbo spoon. I know this makes no sense to anyone else, but yeah, actually, yes. Cajun cooking is extremely French influenced. Okay? My mother gave me this whenever I first left home to go to college, and it's a gumbo spoon. Why? Because it has the 3 colors of roux on it. This is a light roux. When you first put white flour, put the oil, and you just barely start to brown it, it's like this. This is a medium brown roux. This is the one we use for crawfish étouffée and things like that. This one right here, that really dark brown, see how it matches this dark brown? Is because that's the color you use for a gumbo. Here's the thing. When you're making a roux when you make a roux for a gumbo, it has to be extremely dark. In fact, most people will bring their roux to about before it burns to get that rich flavor. The problem is, until you practice it enough, you're going to burn it a lot. Another thing is, if you're not used to very strong smells, when you brown flour in oil, past this color into this, it's going to start to smell a certain way, which some people don't like. So there is a quick circumvent around it. And I'm going to share with you what that is now. If we go, and I'm just going to show it to you, because it's true, I am going to go on Amazon. Yes, Amazon. And even if you don't have Amazon, any you can go online and find this anywhere. Okay? And I type in ROUX, and it comes up as roux for gumbo. So I type in that. And then it loads up eventually. Boom. Jars of roux. Here's one for Carrie's roux, Savoy's roux, another one for Carrie's roux. Yeah. I mean, and they'll have it in powders. But here's the thing. I would stay away from the powder, and I would order like a jar of it. Like comes in a jar. Now, Oh, also, Mike's right. It does look like chocolate. If you want to, if I would order 2 jars, one to make a gumbo with, and the other one to go find your Nutella, scoop all the Nutella out of it, and put this shit in there, and then give it to your friend. They will never speak to you again. Until it's made into a gumbo, this is not something you want to eat. It's not comfortable. So, what you're looking to do is, all you got to do is that's the word. Just type that into Amazon. You'll find a jar like this. Now, this is a 32-ounce jar. This is a jar that I'm going to use to make a gumbo in this. Most roux come in a 16-ounce jar, which is a lot easier for a smaller pot for just a family. I'm cooking for 20 people tonight. I need this. Lanison, it is evil, and that's why we do it. Okay. There's another thing that I want to explain to everyone. I will be using this pre-made roux. Why? Because there's a lot of things that I want to do and show you how. And if I'm sitting here making a handmade roux, most of you aren't going to do that anyway. So why should I show you how to do it? And I might mess it up. And I might be sitting here talking to you for 30 minutes. And, you know, making your own roux is a good thing. I can do one. And it's not a problem. But for those of you who don't want to sit there and burn it 5-6 times smelling up your house until you get it right, just order a jar of it. Here's the thing. When you're talking about Cajun cooking and learning how to do it and doing it well, one of the best things to understand is it's about consistency. Making sure that your chicken is seasoned correctly. Making sure that you use the right sausage. Making sure you're using the right proportions of this, that, and the other. But hand making a roux, unless you've done it for 20 years, it's going to be different every time. And since it's the base of everything else, if you mess it up, everything is ruined. So they make these roux in 1,000-gallon vats at a time. And they've been doing it every day, the same way, for 40, 50 years. They're very consistent. If you get a jar of roux from the same place, if you get Carrie's roux or Savoy's roux or whatever roux you find, right? Homemade roux equals time. Time and practice and error, and more time and practice and error. Whereas if you use a jar, there's nothing shameful about that, because when you know that this is going to taste the same way every time, you can adjust and make it best for you. Simple? Good. Now, I'm going to keep prepping meat and I'm going to answer your questions. But before we do that, there's another thing I want you to know. For the liquid in this, okay, you're going to use chicken stock, and I would use a chicken stock for the liquid in here. When you get this jar, don't just pour this jar into the pot and then turn it on. If you do that, this will start to cook. It's already perfect. If you cook it anymore, it's going to burn. So the way we're going to use this is we're going to take this, and it does have instructions that tell you what to do, just in case you don't have this video available at the time. We're going to put stock. We're going to put a chicken stock in this pot. When we do so, we're going to bring it to a boil. Once we have it to a boil, we're going to start spooning this into this, and then I'm going to use a whisk, wherever my whisk is. I can't find my whisk. Ah, wait. I'm going to use my whisk to break it up and to bring it down. Here's the thing. I'm telling you what I'm going to do before I do it, so that way I don't have to try to stop the video without my research and explain. I have a tendency to do that. So we're going to make the stock, and the way I'm going to make my chicken stock is, there's some stuff in America, I don't know if it's anywhere else yet, but as soon as it is, or if you can get it on Amazon, Holy crap. It's called Better Than Bouillon, okay? We all know you can go get chicken stock in a container. Great. Some people use bouillon cubes, the cubes. I used to use those, but I found that this is better. It's a paste, and it tastes amazing. I'm going to use two different ones. I'm going to use one that's for chicken, and I'm going to use one that's a roasted vegetable. This just adds a richness that I like. So I'm going to add water to this. I'm going to bring it up about halfway full in this pot. I'm going to add about 2 or 3 tablespoons of each one of these to make my stock. Once that starts coming to a boil, I'm going to put this in. While we're waiting for it to come up, we're going to answer questions. I'm going to start prepping this meat. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask and share. Yeah, and the best part about it is this video is going to go onto YouTube as a video, not just a live stream. So you can always go back and check it before you do it. Exactly. Andrew's 100% right. The North German Division of the Nightwish Army. Dear Lord, there are divisions. I keep forgetting that. There's just so many. Okay, so let me go. I'm going to put some water in this pot right here. Stand by for me. Okay, some of the other things you're going to need, okay? We talked about the sausage. We talked about the chicken, okay? Pretty standard. The roux is necessary. A couple other things you're probably going to need. You're going to need salt, obviously, okay? You're going to need salt. Hurry up. The other thing you're going to need is a pepper. A sort of a spice to elevate it. Now, I got my shirt wet. I peed myself. Okay. I got myself wet. So the thing that you're gonna, the big thing you have to realize is that a common misconception is that Cajun food is always spicy. It's super spicy. If you want to make something Cajun, throw a bunch of pepper on it and then blacken the crap out of it. No, that's a misconception. This one here, hold on. This one here is a 20 quart, but you don't have to use a 20 quart. The best part about it is anywhere that you find these roux that you order, they tell you how much to add. But this is where it gets interesting, and I'm going to show you exactly. Yes, the stuff that I'm going to be using is bone-in chicken. However, there has been many a time that I've used boneless, skinless chicken thighs. But because buying them bone-in with skin on is less expensive, I just take the skin off myself, throw the bones in there, and make the people eat around the bone because you're not children. Okay. Diluting the roux is pretty much a personal preference, okay? My mother will add just a little bit of roux, and then her gumbo is like brown water. Not my style. The more roux you add to the water is a matter of taste. So if you're trying to write down how many quarts do you have, okay, how many teaspoons of roux, the best part about Cajun cooking is it is yours. It belongs to you. I'm giving it to you. It's your job to make it yours. The best part about Cajun cooking is no matter which family you go to, if Mike, who lives 3.5 hours away from me to the west, if Mike Alvarado was to come back to Lafayette and we went up to a little town called Sunset and visit some of his family, and his family made gumbo, it would be completely different than mine to a point. The roux would be there, the flavors would be there, but they may have a little bit more of this and that because it's theirs. I want all of you to have this so you can make it yours. See what I'm saying? So the amount, I want you to get the proper roux, but how much you add to the pot is based upon your taste. If you add just a little bit, you're going to see it's very, very light and runny. If you add a lot, it will be very, very thick, very stew-like. In fact, here's another thought. Hey, Fabrizio, be good. This right here, I'm gonna after we get the gumbo done, I'm gonna give you another little way to use this in a way that's going to be like, wow, I didn't know I could do that, and it'd blow your mind. Okay, we're gonna get all this other stuff out of the way. I'm gonna start doing this and talk to you about the spice that I talked to you about before I got distracted by the chicken. Okay, some of you have mentioned. I'm just putting a heaping tablespoon of the bouillon mix just to make the stock. I'm just making a chicken stock. That's all I'm doing. I'm doing it my way because I've got this down to a science for me. If you use fresh stock, fresh chicken stock, or any type of vegetable stock is fine. If you're making if you are making a seafood gumbo, you could use a shrimp stock for that or a seafood stock. It's great for this. On a seafood gumbo, the only difference between a chicken and sausage gumbo and a seafood gumbo, and the reason why I don't have to show you how to make both of them in just one, is because it's literally, what are you putting in it? Are you putting seafood or are you putting chicken and sausage? You can also put duck, squirrel, possum, raccoon, nutria rat. You can. I don't suggest you do it, but you can. Prawns. I've seen people put lobster in gumbo if you want. Here are the things we don't. Yeah, you do, Mike. Shut up. So here's the things you don't want to put in your gumbo. And for some reason, people always do this. Do not put tomatoes in your gumbo. Don't make me ban you from the channel. If we go online right now, and you go to YouTube, and you look for Disney's gumbo recipe from Walt Disney World, the crap they put in there that should never be in gumbo blows my mind. But here's the thing. Gumbo is not only for Cajuns. Creoles make a gumbo, and Creoles are actually from the New Orleans area, more Caribbean, African flavors. They add tomatoes, they add okra, they add all kinds of different things. There was a gumbo episode of MasterChef that I saw in Australia a few years back, and they put peas in it. And I wanted to fly to Australia, find the chef, and beat him to death with a gumbo paddle. I mean, it was, don't put peas in your gumbo. But what you do want to put is the most simple ingredients. So I'm going to give you the simple ones. We're going to keep going. Salt. Remember we talked about needing salt for this. You definitely need salt. Then you're going to need a pepper to bring it, to elevate it. A good understanding of what you're going to need is you can put gator in gumbo. I've actually had it. You can also put one thing you don't want to put in gumbo, and you would think, yeah, Mike is true. You can put any type of meat in your gumbo. However, I would stay away from fish. Okay? Now, yeah, gumbo can be whatever you have on hand. I would stay away from all delicate fish. Okay? I've seen people put catfish in their gumbo because catfish is very solid and dense and it sticks together. But if you put any sort of, you want to put oysters and mussels, please. Clams, take the clams out of the shell first, please. I don't put rocks in my pot. No, there's more than just not tomatoes. Okay, but that's all about the meats. Let's talk about the spices now. Okay. I have a fresh chopped onion mix. This is an onion mix that we have here called Guidry's. They actually pre-chop. It's chopped onions, bell pepper, and celery. Just a little bit of celery. We call it the Holy Trinity. And we buy it pre-chopped and frozen. Okay? You're going to need a little bit of that. I would say when it comes to the gumbo, as far as adding onions and peppers and stuff like that, I usually keep this to a minimum, because if you add too much white or yellow onion, it can turn the flavor. So add a little bit for it, a little bit of bell pepper or whatever. But after that, we're going to talk about actual seasonings. Garlic powder, black powder, and your mama's favorite friend that nobody wants to talk about, cayenne powder, cayenne pepper powder. You can add any type of spice you want, but if you want it to be authentically Cajun flavored, the only pepper you're ever going to use is a cayenne pepper. There's a reason why. If you go to a Mexican restaurant and you order tacos or nachos, and they put a pepper that's not a jalapeno on there, is it going to seem right? Probably not. Serranos, yes. Poblanos, yes. But if somebody puts a Thai chili or a ghost chili pepper on your nachos, it's going to be a little different. Black pepper, not black powder. But that would be cool. Black pepper, sorry. Okay. Now, okay, real quick. You can definitely use fresh garlic. But what I was going to show you is I'm only putting these three together to show you something. There's a company really close to where Mike comes from that's called Tony Chachere's. Excuse me. Tony Chachere's. Okay? Little green bottle. Tony Chachere's. Okay? This company has made an empire on making Cajun flavors for the world. If you're not sure how much of this to this to this to use, you just get this. Woo. I kind of messed up a little bit. I picked this up and the top was open and I shook it and it went in my nose. Pepper in your nose, Jack. Okay, so Draco, then you know what I'm talking about. Tony Chachere's, you can order this anywhere in the world. A lot of places will have it on their store, even in other countries, in Europe and everywhere else. But you can order this online. If you're not sure how much of these different things to use this. And this will give you a good base to know, and you just add this a little bit, add this a little bit, add this a little bit, and then, yeah, thank you, till you get the flavor you want. If you put too much of this, there's no going back, okay? So essentially, this is a combination of cayenne pepper, garlic powder, black pepper. I'm putting this away. Because if I put it away, I can't say it anymore. It is very good, actually. But using cayenne pepper is the pepper of choice for Cajun food. It just gives that particular signature flavor that you're looking for. If you use jalapeno peppers, that has its own flavor that will make it taste different than what it's supposed to the recipe. You can use what you want. You can use what you have. No, I know it's fun for you guys. But, so, Tony Chachere's, if you can find it, you can go on. If you don't have it in your local store or around your area, you can order this online. It's not just good for gumbo. It's good for everything, really. If you want to marinate meats for grilling, sprinkle this stuff over some chicken. Put that on the grill. Oh yeah, all day long. So that's what you're looking to use. Now, I cannot reiterate this enough. Yes, Chelsea just made a very good point. Your salt. The first ingredient on this thing right here is, I'm really blind this morning. Salt. The first ingredient on this is salt. So if you're going to get this, you don't need anything else as far as the spices. This will take care of your salt, your garlic powder, your black pepper. Ha! Said it right. Fuck you people. And the cayenne, of course. This is your all-to-go. Now, for myself, I will probably not use it because I like doing it myself. And I've done this. I'm 46 years old. My first gumbo, I was 17. So almost 30 years I've been making gumbos. So I do like mine to be kind of done by hand. But again, this is to help all of you be able to do a gumbo like any other Cajun easy. So if you can find this, use this. If you can't, salt, black pepper, garlic powder or minced garlic. You can put fresh garlic if you want. But if you want the cloves of garlic floating in there and someone bites it, they're going to hate it. But you can do that. And of course, the cayenne pepper. This here is actually getting up to snuff here. Now I'm going to do something that's going to make people kind of go, why the hell is he doing that? I'm going to do something that's going to make you go, I don't get it. I'm going to use, black powder is awesome for other things. You can actually look that up on YouTube, and that's a whole nother set of videos to watch. Okay, this is a spatula, obviously, and it's a metal spatula, okay? This is a metal pot. I would not use a plastic spoon or anything in this because we're going to get it hot enough to where it's going to make it all flimsy, and there's a reason why I need this. This is a very heavy paste. When I put it into this pot, it's going to sink to the bottom. If it sticks to the bottom, even though there's fluid in it, it might burn and change the flavor, right? So I'm going to use this to stir continuously to keep it off the bottom. You can use a wooden one, that's fine. But you want a flat edge to keep it off the bottom. You've gotten this far. Don't ruin it now. Just letting you know. Also, do not cook this in a non-stick pot where if you take a metal one, you're going to scrape all the non-stick off the bottom and you have black shit floating in your gumbo. Don't do that. Okay. Okay, so all of you who are making the list of the shit you need to order from Amazon. Roux, right? Tony's. Everything else, you can source yourself from wherever you're at. But there's one other thing that makes my gumbo mine. And you might want to get it when you get it these because it comes from the same vendors. This little bottle right here. This is called Gumbo Filet. Gumbo Filet. Essentially what it is it's sassafras leaves that are dried and then powdered, ground into a powder. And it adds a richness, and it's similar to bay leaves. You know how you put a bay leaf in a good soup and it brings that richness? This does that for gumbo. This can also be found. Gumbo Filet, F-I-L-E with a little, apostrophe above the E. Gumbo Filet. You can also get this on the Amazon or order it from whatever provider you need. That little powder right there, a lot of people add it to the end of their gumbo. I actually add it in the stock to begin with. And it adds a richness and a fullness of flavor. It's probably one of my favorite things to add to it. Yes. Okay, also, Lanison, they may not have a lot of these different things, but remember, and I'm going to share this with you. If you go on YouTube, okay, not now, later. If you go on YouTube and you actually look up how to make a roux. someone will actually show you how to make this in a pot, in a cast iron pot. And it's not hard. Pay attention. Because once you get this to a certain heat, you got to add vegetables, meat, a little bit of water, stock to cool it down so it doesn't overburn. But there are videos that show you how to make this if you want to make it by hand. This, cayenne pepper, salt, black pepper, and garlic powder. Love? Love what? Okay. 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 So this is stirring now. We're going to get this going here. Oh, for all those who were wondering, yes, no one has asked this yet, but it is coming. After this live stream, we are launching the next Old School Nerd reaction, going right up on the channel as soon as we're done here. And it is a song that I really, really enjoyed listening to, and it was a live performance, and it is a band you've seen me react to before, but that's all I'm saying. Yeah, I know some people who have actually done a roux rescue. It's not. Yes, Wolf, I have seen that. I've been trying to talk to Mike, Mike Alvarado in the channel. Mike loves to grill and smoke meats and barbecue and stuff. He lives in Texas, so it's kind of a religion over there. Do what you gotta do. For those who keep saying more Sabaton, yeah, that's coming. I have no intention of not reacting to more Sabaton. I think a lot of people keep forgetting that there are two things that prevent me from doing all the reactions very, very fast. Number one, it's fine. One of the things that I have a trouble with is I have a full-time job, okay? So I have to schedule these things, and I have to try to get these reactions done in the morning before I start work. And then the other thing is the number of requests. I mean, if you go to like some of these other reactors channels, they have 1,500 videos and shit like that, right? Bruh, you think I can't just go to Houston? It's 3 hours, man. I live in Lafayette. Oh yeah, I hear you. For those of you who do live in Houston, Wolf and Mike, have you guys been to the Pit Grill in Montreux? It's on Westheimer. It's the Pit Grill. It's the smokehouse place over there by the Chewy's down on Westheimer, down over there near Montrose. If you haven't, go. It's really, really good. You know what? I actually thought about that, but I'm pretty sure I would get in trouble. I don't know if I can look into that. I do. Hold on. One thing that I do want to do is maybe go to some of the different YouTube channels that do like stupid, horrible gumbos and just destroy them. But, you know, yeah. Okay. Look out, fat boy! Okay. The beef rib is the full beef rib is pretty special stuff. All right, I'm gonna start working on this sausage here. This is getting there. We're almost to a boil. We're getting there. Now, I am not I'm not gonna start adding roux to this until I at least get a pretty good boil on it. Gothenburg. Hello, Jessica. Gothenburg. Where is Gothenburg? What country is that? And if you say Texas, I'm gonna be like, shit. I just realized that there's probably a Gothenburg in Texas, because let's be honest, Texas is so big they've got a Paris there. Oh no! I know what I'm talking about. All right. Oh, Sweden. Awesome. The home of black metal. Anders wants to know, what is the best drink with gumbo? Beer or wine? Yes. All right. For those of you, you can see this is a rolling boil. So we're gonna right? The reason why I didn't tie my shoelaces at first because I didn't want to have to wash my hands again. Okay. Yeah, you know what I've really, the one thing, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Wolf. After reacting to all these crazy videos and music and all these awesome ideas, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm making reactions to all these crazy music videos from Sabaton and Amaranth and Nightwish and Baby Metal and Bandmate and oops, that was pretty hot. When you do all these reactions, when I do all these reactions to all these bands, right? From Finland, Sweden, from Norway, from Germany, from the Dutch, there's English bands, there's Japanese bands, there's all these bands from all over the place. There's some bands that I'm checking out that are from Portugal and from France and Spain. I just want to get a whole thing. The one thing that I definitely want to do, and Mike is one of those people that if I tell him this, he's going to be like, dude, let's go! If we ever get this stupid coronavirus shit out and get done with all this before we get to the next horrible thing to happen to the world, I want to go to a Pink Pop, or, you know, I want to go to a Download or a Vakken, or, you know, I want to go to one of these big music festivals in Europe just so I can enjoy the energy of the people that I see on these videos, because the people that are commenting and sending me thoughts about my reactions are also the people that are in those crowds of thousands of people that see these bands live. And there's nothing like seeing the band live. You know what? I was pissed off, Lotor, about the fact that it was one of them I couldn't remember, and it was Ginger. You're right. In fact, I'm overdue for a Ginger reaction. I think the next one I'm doing for Ginger is Ape, by the way. Ape? Yeah. And there's also a new Ginger song coming out that I'm going to have to check out too, so... I like my gumbo very, very rich and thick, so I'm going to have the whole jar. A lot of people won't need to, but I like it extremely rich. That's just me, though. You know, it's Boren, it's funny you mentioned that. October 15th, October 15th of 2021 in Dallas, Texas, which is just 6 hours away, there's going to be a little band that's going to be performing in Fort Worth, Texas. They start with an S and they rhyme with Brabaton. Sabaton is coming to Dallas, Texas in October of next year. And yeah. Mike, I know, dude. I am like, I just want to see a tank and lightning and I just want to see some smoke and him doing this. Yeah, I just want to see it all, man. I just want to scream at the drummer and go, "You're so freaking lucky, bro!" Oh, yeah. Yeah, crawfish in New Orleans is bullshit. Oh, sorry. For all those in New Orleans, my bad. Excuse me. No, it will not burn. I turned the heat down before I did that. Ha ha! Yes. Oh, wait. Hold on. Draco, Leo Maracchianelli is on my list. And it's a very long list. I think the first one I'm doing from Leo is going to be the Africa by Toto. He did a cover of Africa. And then he also did a cover of, he did one for Thriller, I think. And then he also did, there was another one, either Wake Me Up or, if you say Crawdads again, Bob, you're off my channel. I'm kidding. Hello from Adele, Africa from Toto. There's a song from Dire Straits I want to do from him. Yeah, everyone talks about him all the time. Yeah. And all I'm doing right here, you can see me doing it. I'm just passing. Because it's breaking down, but it's slow. Watch, guys. Look. If I hold it up, it's still in little lumps. It's got to break down. And the only way it's going to break down is in boiling water. So, got to check that out. Yep. So much for that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm writing that down. In fact, you know what? Who? Sabaton performing the Swedish national anthem at Sweden Rock Festival on our national. Hey, have any of you guys seen the parody reply that the Bad Apples did to me yesterday? Where whenever I did my 6,000 sub video, and I made I made the joke of them going where my kids asked if they can play Freebird, and then they played Freebird. Okay, check this out. If you go back and watch that video, I just posted it last night. The lead singer of the Bad Apples, who's just a small band in Helsinki, her vocals were so well on that, and the guitar solo was done so well that portion of the guitar solo and her portion of the beginning of Freebird was so good that it triggered copyright claims from Leonard Skinner. They did a cover song as a joke to me just in their little room, and the guitar solo was so dead on the money to Freebird that it triggered a copyright claim on the video from Leonard Skinner's publicist company. Just a thought. Here we go. Rolling boil. That's what we want. Now at this point, you want to make sure that with this rolling boil, this is where, if we do side-by-side crawfish boil, mine's going to be better. So right now, since it's on a rolling boil, I want to make sure that the roux does not stick to the bottom. Okay? And look, you know how I know it's sticking? See the bottom of the spoon? It's actually scraped some off the bottom. It was already beginning to stick. So until it completely dissolves, it can still stick to the bottom because it's still in lumps. Now, the smoked sausage that I'm using comes in a giant frozen block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the microwave for just a few moments to thaw it out. I don't need to cook it. I just need it to be thawed out enough to where I can slice it without killing myself. Yeah, the way that I do crawfish is a way that was showed to me by a friend of mine who owns a restaurant locally that sells crawfish, and they are highly praised. There is a key to boiling crawfish that people don't think about, and there's a simple little rule that if people knew about, they would do it right every time. To boil crawfish properly, you cannot overboil them. If you overboil them, they're almost impossible to peel, and they're a pain in the ass to eat. If you cook them to the exact temperature to where they are done, but just like you don't want to overcook shrimp, you got to treat crawfish the same way. If you keep from overcooking them, you won't have nearly as many problems. This is getting pretty good here. I'm digging this. This is gonna work great. This is gonna work great. Now the way you know if it's sticking or not is when you go to push through, it's gonna catch on something. And once you get it through and it runs smooth and you don't feel any vibrations, then you know that it's not sticking to the bottom anymore. Yeah. Hold on. All right. I haven't even put anything in it yet. It's just the roux. I haven't added any salt or anything, so. Another thing that I want to make sure that I keep an eye on is the boil. Because it is flour-based, when it gets to a rolling boil, just like any flour-based substance, it can bubble. And what I mean by bubble, I mean froth. And what I mean by froth, I mean the head on the top of a beer. This thing can froth over really fast if you get away from it. No, I don't. Okra is actually similar to tomatoes. Okra is a Creole ingredient. People don't realize, and even Cajuns don't realize this. Okra comes from Africa originally, okay? And okra is a Creole ingredient that's added. If you do not, I've had some amazing okra gumbos. I really have. But if you think doing all this is hard, cook with okra. Okra has a fuzz to it like a peach. The seeds on the inside, if you don't render them properly, can turn into a slime. It can get out of control really fast. I've had people that do an okra gumbo, and it's great because they know how to cook with it. But if you don't know how to cook with okra, you will run into more problems than you really anticipate. The best way to eat okra that I know of is to cut them up into little pieces, batter them, and fry them, and eat them with ketchup. Yeah, but most people will cut their okra, like if you have a piece of okra, they're cutting it like this into little discs. You want to cut the okra down the middle and then take a spoon and scoop all the flesh out, the seeds, the little seeds, and the white fleshy part. Like if you open up a bell pepper or any pepper and you see that white fleshy stuff inside, okra has that too. In fact, it has a lot of it. And that stuff will turn into a slime if it's cooked to a boil. I didn't know that until I screwed it up and did it myself. Yep. That's correct. And that's because for okra, you really have to prep it properly. The smell's getting there. But right now I'm chopping all my sausage up right now to add. So I'm just letting that cook down a little bit. Yeah, there is it's funny. A friend of mine, when he makes his gumbos, he will do he'll add crab and shrimp. But his wife can't stand oysters. But if you have a seafood gumbo, and what he does is he'll take oysters, and he will take the oysters, and he will cut the little green membrane off the end of it, leaving just the flesh. And he'll throw those away. He'll take just the oysters without the green sack and the oyster stock that it's sitting in, and he'll put them in a food processor and blend them to where it's pureed to nothing. And then he'll add it to his gumbo because the oyster flavor is awesome. My daughter just came out of her room and she's like, "It smells so good." Okay, you can see on the top, these bubbles are staying fairly frothy. There's a reason for that. The rest of the roux has broken down, and now it's just in the liquid. Now, I will probably add more water to this at the end to get the full amount. But because I don't know how much room all the meat I have is going to take, I don't want, you know. It does. Yeah, well, I don't know about Iron Chef, but I do okay with mine. No, I'm not opposed to that at all, actually. Actually sounds kind of cool. That actually sounds really cool. Okay, I have another thing I want to show you guys real quick. Yeah, so here's the thing. We talked about onions, bell pepper, celery, that kind of stuff. Rather than adding a lot of yellow onion or white onion, I prefer green onion. I actually grow my own green onion in the garden. And when it comes to gumbo, a good amount of green onion is awesome. Now what I do is I usually just foil them out into a long run together. And then I'll take shears and cut them down. I'm going to add that too. All right, now that we've gotten started with this, I'm going to go ahead and start adding a few things to it. Got a good base here. Because it's y'all, I'm going to show you. I use the Tony's right now. And I'm just going to add a little bit on the top. Couple passes. Now, here's the problem with Tony's. It's also the problem with cayenne pepper. Ready? Cayenne pepper has a unique ability that some other peppers don't. It's sneaky as hell. Okay? And when I say sneaky as hell, what I mean is, if you add salt to this, you'll taste that instantly. If you add Tony's to the gumbo, you'll taste the salt and the garlic and the black pepper almost immediately. But the cayenne takes a little bit of time to break down in the fluid through boiling, to render it, to break it down. So when you add cayenne pepper to anything, taste it, and then realize it's going to go probably another step higher than that as it sits. Don't overspice your food if you don't realize that cayenne takes a little bit to, yeah. Iron guts, yeah. I think they already had that. It was called Man versus Food or something. Just saying. All right. I am now going to add some sausage to this because I can. Okay. Our sausage is in. Want to get that started for just a little bit. I want to get that going. Now, I just added the sausage and immediately it stopped boiling. I mean, we're adding a cold protein. It's going to cool it down. I'm going to wait till it boils back. Once it starts to boil again, I'm going to add my chicken. It's going to cool down. We'll wait for it to warm up again, and then I'll add my onions and bell peppers and everything else. That Constance reaction was completely accidental. Okay? A lot of people ask me, how much of your reaction videos are staged? How much do you know about the band beforehand? I can honestly tell you 100%. I know literally nothing about what I'm reacting to until I react it. And the reason why I can tell you this is I'm still getting yelled at by the more aggressive, angry Nightwish fans that I don't know everything there is to know about Nightwish yet. And the thing about it is it's true. No. It's just a Cajun sausage. A chorizo sausage or an andouille sausage will work. You just want to get it's a mild smoke on the sausage, but you want it to have a little bit of a spice to it. A pork sausage is what you're looking to use. That's for Andrews, by the way. Yeah, so I was doing the Constance one was just kind of an accident. Because a lot of people were like wanting me to do Spirit Box, but they thought that I was going to do Holy Roller first. Because there were so so many reactors were doing the reaction to Holy Roller, because I've seen it. I've done a reaction to it now where it's very controversial or it's shocking or the imagery is kind of harsh for a lot of people. So when I went to go look to do Holy Roller, I realized that Spirit Box had put out a video that day. And I was like, well, let me do the new one. It'll be a good idea. What I didn't realize was that my first video to react to of Spirit Box was Constance. So instead of seeing that aggressive metal, dark imagery and stuff, I wound up being punched in the gut by thoughts of my grandmother having Alzheimer's and dementia and her death a few years back. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I didn't expect it to. And what was really weird was when I was done with the video, my kids were just looking at me like, Dad, are you okay? What's wrong? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm just still crying after it. So things like the Bandmaid and the Baby Metal, I don't know what I'm going to get with that. Sabaton, I had no idea. Somebody was like, dude, you got to do Sabaton Bismarck. I'm like, okay. And then I did it. It freaked me out. In fact, a lot of the times when I talk too much in a reaction or when people give me shit about talking too much, it's because, have you ever been in one of those situations where you have no idea what the hell's going on? And some people will have nervous issues with stuff. If I see something for the first time and I don't know what's coming and it reacts to me, I will usually talk about it and I will usually not shut up. Yeah, so yeah, that's what it was for me. Now, the one thing that I have done is, okay, for instance, my first Nightwish video, I just watched, it was I forgot which one it was for Nightwish, but I watched the Nightwish video. I was like, man, that was really pretty and everything else. I didn't know any of the people's names. I was calling her Fleur Jansen when it's Floor Jansen. I didn't know Tuomas's name. I didn't know Impu's name. I didn't know that Troy was actually not Impu. I didn't know who Juka was. I didn't know that Marco was, the leader / whatever. And Tuomas and him were the originators of the band. And Impu was the originator of the band. And they were from Finland. I thought they were from Sweden. I didn't know. That was my mistake. But the thing about it is that, yeah, I didn't know anything about the band, but I loved it. And the more I react to it and the more I get to hear from all of the fans of the band, I learn more about that. And that's really the growth process. So now, if somebody would say, hey, do you know who Nightwish is? I was, yeah, they're a Finnish metal symphonic epic band from Kite, Finland. Now, I did tell someone that I learned how to say Kite by actually watching an interview with Impu, where when I saw that his name was Impu, I wanted to know, okay, before I say Impu and have everybody crucify me, is that really how he says it? So I went and I watched an interview that he had where he mentions himself as with the interviewer calls him Impu, and he responds to that, and they asked him, where are you from today? He said, I'm from Kite. And then I looked it up, and in my, you know what? Within Temptation is on there too. That's definitely on the list, actually. Within Temptation is definitely on the list. I'm going to have to add some water to that. That's really thick. My gumbo is so thick, Mike, we can almost go down to a stew with it. Over rice, like a meatball stew with it. If you get a chance to see the reaction or the video of Floor Jansen doing the cover of Alone from Heart, that's a really good one. Another one that I really, really liked was Amaranth with Lorna from Battle Beast when they did the song Strong. I really enjoyed that. Kind of gave me some heavy metal hard vibes, some Ann and Nancy Wilson vibes, the way they did the video. I love that a lot. I'm a folk music guy. Yeah. This is my UL Raging Cajun holographic glass. Yeah. The Cajun measuring the Cajun measuring standard is this. They look pretty good, huh? They look about right? Yeah, that's how you measure that. Does it look about right? Yeah, this is extremely thick. Extremely thick. It's got the consistency of about an olive oil right now. It's so thick. Yeah, in fact, what I did was on the reaction that I did last night, which is coming live after this stream, one of the keys behind the reaction was that I did do a little bit of research about the song, so that I could relate to the song. Does that make sense? I wanted to be able to relate to the song. So I did a little bit of research about the song, but that was it. In fact, now that I'm literally humming it in my head, the song that I did the reaction to. That's how weird it is, okay? It's in my head. But I like it like that. My mother's gumbo is exactly polar opposite of this. My mom's gumbo is like a light brown water. It's, no. Not a fan. Not a fan. Yeah, but here's the thing. Once I know how much displacement I'm going to get on... I did Poet in the Pendulum. Oh my God. I got so much shit for that one. Okay. I did the Poet in the Pendulum. Okay. And it was a live concert in Tampere, Finland. And it was a rendering in 4K. So I thought, man, the 4K rendering of the video will be awesome for a reaction. So I did that one. And what happened was, I did Poet and Pendulum, but I did one for Greatest Show on Earth. And what happened was, the video that I reacted to, and I didn't know, because how am I going to know? Did the intro, did the song, but the video didn't have the outro to the song, the last 4 minutes. So I uploaded it, and I mean, you cut off the song reactions were huge. And I'm like, I didn't pick the song. I didn't pick the video. It was just the one that they told me to do. And I didn't know it was going to... Yeah, it was rough. Yes. Yeah. The Greatest Show on Earth. And see, I learned from my mistakes. So when I did Poet in the Pendulum, I did look to make sure it was the full length. Yeah, it was... Oh, shit. It was a funny one, though, because I was like, I didn't mean to. I swear to God, I didn't know. And I didn't know that Poet in the Pendulum was a personal story about to Almas until after I posted it. I didn't know that. So afterwards, and then I realized at that point, yeah, there's all these things that I don't know, but that's okay. I'm going to react to them as someone who doesn't know, and then that way everyone can know, hey, Old School Nerd likes it. Let's help him learn more about it. And that's the vibe I'm getting now, which is much nicer. Oh, I need to do some Mashugana. That's going to happen. Mashugana is that, yeah. I said that wrong too, by the way. What's up, Chad? Okay. Okay, yeah, I heard. Okay, I have been warned. Okay. Thank you, Draco. Okay, I have been warned. I can promise you that I will not stop the YouTube playback of Africa until it ends. Because I know that someone says that there's an after thing, that there's a something after the video that Leo does that I'm not supposed to miss. Got it. Mental note. His name is Tuomas. Her last name is Jensen. They're from Finland. Sabaton is historically accurate. And don't stop the Toto Africa video from Leo until the very end. Got it. Yeah, it's more than that. I want to say that we have about... It's probably going to be about 15 plus people. Give or take a little bit. I'm going to add about a cup, or about a half a cup of this onion, bell pepper, and celery mixture. You add as much onion and stuff as you want. Less is more. If you add too much, it'll taint the flavor. So just add a little bit, add a little bit, add a little bit, come back and taste. The idea is if you're doing this right, by the time you feed everyone else, you won't need to eat. Oh my God! What the hell are you doing in my video? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Jesus, you scared me. I literally was like, this man really trying to pull one on me.
My daughter Olivia was like, Dad, can I come get some water? And I was like, yeah, sure, come on. And she's. Anyway. No, I love her. She's awesome. She's also the one who goes, can they play Freebird? That's her, by the way. She's the one who asked about Freebird. Oh, and Olivia? Apparently, yes, they can.
Yeah, they answered my question. I was dying to know.
No, I do not. No, I do not. Okay, here's the thing. Frenchie's Fried Chicken. Okay, check this out. When it comes to the onions and bell peppers and the celery, just a little bit of that, I get it pre-chopped and frozen. So I can put it in. It's always better to do it fresh, but because I'm trying to do a video, it's just better to do pre-prepped. No, I don't cook down anything because the flavors that I'm using right now, I'm not trying to render anything. I'm not trying to glaze. I'm not trying to brown the onions or anything. I just want the... Yeah. So what I've done is I've taken these green onions like this, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to start cutting. Yeah. Play Freebird. I have a Discord channel, Wolf. The problem is this. My Discord channel is normally used mainly for playing my video games and Destiny 2 and Warzone and WoW and the things that I do. Also, the other thing is I'm not very good at Discord. I know that seems a little weird. I'm not very good at it yet. So it's no, they're not. You know how I know they're not? Bitch don't sew. I'm gonna get my ass kicked. Okay. No, she doesn't sew. Now my older daughter. Why don't I cook? Why don't I cut my chicken into chunks? Because those are whole chicken legs and chicken thighs, Mike. How am I supposed to cut them with the bone on it? Besides, also, Mike, there's another thing you need to realize. I'm going to cook this so long that the meat's going to be in little pieces anyway. Yeah, my oldest daughter. Some of you have seen the reaction videos to Falling in Reverse, right? My oldest daughter, Megan, she does cosplay, so she does a lot of that stuff too. The new expansion does look very good. I just don't have time to play it because I'm too busy doing amazing reactions for awesome people. Just putting that out there. Gumbo Filet. Best way to put this stuff in is in the cap. Because it's very fine powder, if you try to, it might all go in, and that's going to be a little much. Now, at this stage of the process, all we're doing now, at this stage of the process, right now, it's in the cook down. You want to have this light boil, this light movement boil, not a hard rolling boil. Because at all times, this thing can boil over very quickly. Once you get everything cooked and all the meat inside is cooked, then you can bring it down to a low medium heat to where it does a slow boil to where it won't boil over, and just let it keep cooking. There are a few other things you might want to add as you go. There's something else, two things that we need to look at after you get to this point. Two things. Black pepper, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, salt. Whether it be this or this, doesn't matter. But starting from now, you're going to add, once the meat's cooked in it, please don't do it now, you're going to get yourself sick. But once the chicken is cooked, and the sausage is already good, so once the chicken is cooked, you can start adding this little by little. Add it like every 15 minutes or so. And come back and taste it. Okay? You want to season this gradually. Like I said, if you season it too far, it's very hard to bring it back. So you want to walk the seasoning into this. The other thing that you need to do to finish this out, and I'm going to do this in my best Cajun accent. You ready? Misha, you got to cook the rice, yeah? You're going to have to cook rice, okay? Gumbo is almost always served with a little bit of rice in it. Now, here's the best part. Just like everything else we've talked about, it really belongs to you. Whether you put a small spoonful of rice in the middle of the bowl of stew gumbo, or you put the gumbo over the top of a bowl of rice. I've seen people do both, and it doesn't matter because it either way is valid. But for me, for you, for all of us, don't put tomatoes in your gumbo, and don't use brown rice. Don't use brown rice. Brown rice has too much starch in it and too much husk flavor. When you put that with gumbo, it will change the flavor completely. use white rice. Basmati is fine. You can use a jasmine rice, but it cannot be scented or flavored. You don't want to throw anything off. So, yeah. A lot of people do that. See, Mike's making a good point. You know what else, Mike? Sweating down your onions and bell peppers and everything is completely good to do. And Mike's right to do it. But remember what I said. I'm showing all of you how to make a gumbo that any of you can do. Okay? And also something that Mike really just noticed was how much onion, bell pepper, and celery did I put in there? That much? A little bit? And why is that? Because I prefer chopped green onion in mine. My preference. And you really can't saute green onion like that because it falls apart too much. So it's just, like I said, Mike has his gumbo, I have mine. We do need to play Warzone so I can whip your ass. So that's not the point. We're here for the food love, man. Food love. Okay. So, anyway. So, when you're talking about gumbo, it is yours. There are some basic rules that you have to follow. But outside of the basic rules, your gumbo can be your family's gumbo. And here's the best part. Exactly. Here's the best part about this situation. I know Cajuns that live in Japan. I know Cajuns that live in Singapore. I know a Cajun that lives in Aberdeen, Scotland. And they all take it with them where they go. And they all make gumbos using the native ingredients that are around them. But the one thing they don't stray from is the roux, the cayenne pepper, and then making it in this fashion where it's put together. I'm just putting it together. I'm letting it cook down. And we all serve it over white rice. If you serve this over pasta, that's on you. I've never done it. Never done it. And knowing my luck, if I do it, I'll probably make another video and go, oh my God, I found out that Do you want to know why I never tell people never to discount an ingredient? I'm going to say this little thing, and Mike Alvarado is going to go, oh crap, that's true. Jambalaya is one of the biggest large gathering cuisine recipes that Cajuns make. It's a rice with pork and flavors, and it's cooked down into a large batch. It's almost like a fried rice, but it's Cajun style with pork and sausage and chicken and whatever sauces you want. But one of the big things that's come out in the last 5, 6, 7 years is pastalaya. So instead of putting rice in it, they put pasta in it. And it's a huge thing because someone just took a chance. So this is what I want you to do. This is your challenge. Yes, you can recreate this without a problem. Okay? There are 2 videos. This one is step-by-step, me doing it with you. For quick references, there's another video in my channel that gives a quick reference to the pot, to the roux, to the spices, and all that stuff you need a quick reference. That's already in there. It's yours. My thought for everyone is to try this at some point. And as you do it, you add your spices and stuff, and you find it to where it tastes good. Once you've found it to where you enjoy it, and your family enjoys it, then I want you to tell me about it. Say, look, I couldn't find this, so I did it with this. Why do I want you to tell me that? It's because I want to try it. And I want to say, hey, so-and-so from this country took my gumbo recipe and added this to it, or replaced this with this. And it's amazing. Why? Because Cajuns love nothing more than getting drunk on Mardi Gras. No, wait. That's true. Wait, hold on. Cajuns love one thing almost as much as everything else, And that's finding new ways to make our food better. We're always looking for ways to make our food the next thing. Because we all grow up under very strict traditions about cooking in our families, most of us. So as we get to a certain level, we realize that we can go to the next level, do the next thing. Okay, Mike Alvarado is mentioning adding boiled eggs to a gumbo. Okay. Sorry, Mike, that's a Creole edition. Because adding boiled eggs to a soup is an African influence. It comes from Africa. But yes, you can do it. I've done it. It's good. It's great. All you got to do is you boil eggs, peel the eggs, get the shell off, take the boiled egg, pop that sucker in there. And it's great. It really, really is good. Yes, that is correct. Mitch, you are 100%. Many cultures have their own, it's the flavor spice profile. For Cajun food, it's going to be onion, right? It's going to be onion, green bell pepper, yellow onion, green bell pepper, and celery. But in that Trinity mix, it's mostly onion, a little bit less bell pepper, and then the smallest amount will be celery of that. That's the Cajun Trinity of base vegetables that you would put in a pot, saute them down before you make anything. Some people will take garlic, fresh garlic, and kind of go half celery, half garlic for that last little bit. They'll kind of mess it up a little bit. But that's to add their own swing to the flavor. But yes. Yes, that is true. Here's a good story for you, Anders. In Cajun culture, classic Cajun culture. Here's an example. My grandfather and my grandmother on my father's side. My grandfather cooked almost all the meals in the house. But my grandmother was the queen of the kitchen and would not let him cook in her kitchen. So he actually built an outhouse with an outdoor kitchen so he could cook. Cajun men love to cook. Now, as far as the rankings and roles of the household, here's a good rule of thumb. In the Cajun tradition, the women cook day-to-day foods, breakfast, lunch, dinner. The men cooked events. Here's an example of an event. A gumbo for a family or large gathering. The crawfish boil. Anything that's a large event was usually done by the men, a lot of times because it was done outside. And that's just a tradition. I would, absolutely. Let me see. Let me see if I have what we need to do in etouffee. Hold on. Ha ha! These are crawfish tails from my crawfish boil I did a few months back. They're vacuum sealed and frozen. So they already have all the crawfish boil on them. Yeah. So Mike and the Wolf, you think I can make an etouffee with this? That's really good. That's really, really good. Be careful when you're adding this or anything else. Remember, the sausage that I added in there, was it hot sausage? Was it spicy sausage? Because that will add a lot of flavor to it. Right now, this is exactly the spice level that I want for my kids, my mom, people like that. It's also the flavor that I like, but not everybody's going to like it like this. But I do feel that right now there's not enough salt. Fortunately, I will not add any more of this because I don't want to increase the heat. I'll just add this. the salt, maybe a little garlic powder, a little more gumbo filet. Now, if for some reason your flavor of your gumbo it's too much sausage flavor, it's too much chicken flavor, it's too much this, it's too much that, this is overpowering it, what do? Gumbo filet. There's something about the gumbo filet that when you add it, it melds the flavors together. It makes them more, trying to think of the word, it just makes them work together better. It kind of tones down the sharp flavors and elevates some of the milder ones. I'm not sure how it does it, but it's been the key for me for years. The thing about it is, Anders, totally get that your ex-wife was banned from your kitchen. It's probably why she was your ex-wife, but it's in reverse. Yeah, this is a Magnolite. It's extremely heavy. Now that we've got it down, it's doing this slow bubble situation. I'm going to cover this. Turn the heat down a little bit. Now, vegetables in a gumbo. Don't. You can, don't. But I'm now going to give everyone a little side note. If you can cook a gumbo, you can cook 5 or 6 different Cajun recipes with that skill. The roux skill will give you so many different ideas. If you were to take the roux and you made it yourself and you got this one right here, or wherever you got that jar of roux, I guarantee you right next to it, there will be one that says étouffée mix. And it's a roux-based mix that has certain spices in it. And you make a gravy, like a paste. It's like the gumbo, but think of it like a lot thicker and quite a bit less of it. And for those of you in the Nordic countries or really anywhere in Europe, because other than maybe 1 or 2 countries, you can always find amazing seafood right there on the coasts. Prawns, crab, a good meatball. And then instead of making it a soup, you cook it down to where it's like a very rich paste. And then you make your pot of rice and you put a scoop of rice on the plate and you just put that gravy and the protein on top. We call that a stew. We call that like a meatball stew, chicken stew, whatever. But you can make it like that. Yep. Yeah, right there. Alborada, Mike, you got it right. It's about 70% onion, 25% bell pepper, and a little bit of celery. That is the basis of the vegetable that you want to use when you're doing this stuff here. Now, here's the thing. If you can make this, again, remember when I made the gumbo itself, the liquid. If you were to take, a lot less fluid and a little bit less of that roux, and you stirred it in and made it really, really thick on the bottom, then you added those onions and bell peppers and celery, and you seasoned it, and you threw take some of your Tony Chachere's or your pepper mix, take ground meat, you can use ground lamb, ground beef, ground pork, and make meatballs and season them and set them in there and let it cook. Let that cook and make you some rice and put rice on a plate and scoop that up and put that on top of the rice. What? It's so good. Show you the roux. Okay. The roux will come in a jar like this or a smaller jar. There are a lot of providers that make this. Carrie's, Savoi's, Richard's. There's a bunch of them. Zatarans. It should be a brown paste. Now, the darker the brown paste, the more rich the flavor. Okay? So, there are some that are this dark. Those are your gumbo roux. Also for your stews. There's this one, which will be for your... I use this whenever I make seafood dishes. When I want to make a sauce to set like prawns or crawfish or crab in. And then I put that over rice. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. That's right. All right. So here's the thing. I'm going to let this cook. It's going to be there a while. Okay? Right now, it is right at noontime here, which means the people that are coming to eat at my house will be here in 6 hours. I'm going to cook this on a low heat for the next 3. If you have a slow cooker, like a slow cooker, once you get it to this point, you can transfer it to the slow cooker if you want, but most people just put it on the stove, low heat, leave it there. Check it every once in a while, stir it, and that's it. Yeah. So that's how you make a Cajun gumbo. It's very simple. It's very few ingredients. Chicken and sausage for your proteins because we pick those. You can do, well, if your dad's from Crowley, bro, you know what's up. He's one in Martins. So you can, if you don't have this kind of stuff, I've seen people, instead of sausage, they make a meatball. You can do a meatball and chicken in here. But when you make your meatball, I would season it with this or the same flavors instead of like an herb base so it doesn't throw the flavor off. You can definitely substitute a meatball for the sausage if you can't find the sausage. That's the best part. That's a really good idea. I'm so glad somebody mentioned that. You can substitute a homemade meatballs for the sausage. Just make sure you pack them tight, season them with the same seasoning we're talking about, and put them with the roux, and it's great. Absolutely. Ooh, cool, Lenison. All right, everyone. So that's going to be it. That's the end of the stream. But before I go, I just want to make sure everyone knows that I appreciate everyone from being here. This was so awesome to be able to do this for all of you, and all of you share your thoughts and comments and questions with me. It's all part of the exchange, and I love sharing that time. Because we're all stuck with this COVID crap, we have to start talking to each other as much as possible to share our experiences. It's the only way we're going to make it through here. Now, when I end this stream, I'm then going to launch the new reaction on the Oldskulenerd channel. And here's a hint for those who don't have Patreon. So the ones who have my Patreon, y'all know what it is because y'all got to see it last night. But for those who don't know what it is, I'll give you a hint. That's the only hit you're getting. So we'll see you guys later. Love you guys. And I will have another, this one that you're coming up is coming up now. And I will have another reaction video tonight. And that's going to be released right around 7 p.m. my time. And it's going to be from a performer, band, music person I have never reacted to. So you guys enjoy the new one. And I'll see you next time. It's Oldskulenerd. I'm out of here.